Now, I'm going to get a little controversial here, and some people might disagree with me, but until we as a community start valuing education as much as we value somebody being able to run a football or shoot a basketball or dance or entertain, then we're going to always be behind.
Access and educational access and all that we're talking about, I think it brings up equity for me.
Sure.
And for you, you're deeply passionate about equity in K through 12 education.
Sure.
How, from your experience, how have you worked to ensure that students from different backgrounds, low income, middle income, high income, all socioeconomic backgrounds, how have you been able to kind of help them kind of have access to that basic quality education, pretty much?
Yeah, for me, now I was born in 1968. And for those of you who don't know, that was the year that Martin Luther King was killed.
Yes.
Right? And so we're actually getting ready to come up on, the Martin Luther King Day celebration on Monday. And what really bothers me, because one of the dreams that Martin Luther King talked about was, people that look like us being judged based on the content of their character and not the color of their skin. And truthfully, in 1968, the same schools that you graduated from, the same schools that I went to, we wouldn't have been able to go to in 1968. Yeah. So in terms of access, in a lot of ways we have access. What bothers me is the value system, okay? Until we as a community start valuing education as much as we value somebody being able to run a football or shoot a basketball or dance or entertain, then we're going to always be behind. Now, I'm going to get a little controversial here, and some people might disagree with me, but, right? Because the bottom line is this. If our young people are not able to read, write, and comprehend by the end of their third grade year, fourth grade year at the most, then they've already lost. Because now you're playing catch up, and the curriculum fundamentally changes anyway after fourth grade. That's what people don't understand. Most people that don't work in K-12 education don't understand that the curriculum fundamentally changes from learning to read to reading to learn.
Wow.
And if you didn't get the learning to read part, you've already lost.
Yeah.
Because now that gap that's like that achievement gap that's like that becomes like this, like this, like this, like this. Because education is a ladder to climb.
Yes.
And you can't skip steps.
No, you can't.
Right?
Right.
And so until we really make a focus on making sure that Jamal and Cindy and Susie know how to read, write, and comprehend, right? And they know, and we know that they can do it because if you give them a rap song, they can sing it verbatim. Hello?
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
So we already know that they have the capacity. This is not a capacity issue. This is a value issue. Do you value education? What do you value? Wow. Right? And so a lot of times what happens, and I'm saying this as a principal, a lot of times what happens is it gets put on us as educators to be everything. Mama, daddy, social worker, teacher, counselor, right? We can't be everything, right?
No, you can't.
I can 100% have an impact on a student's life, right?
Sure.
But there's someone at home that's having just as much, if not a greater impact on that child's life, right? Yeah. And the real question is, are we singing off the same sheet of music?
Wow.
Because if we're not, we're doing like this.
Yes.
And we're never coming together, right?
Right.
And so for me, I feel like sometimes I'm educating the parents just as much as I'm educating the students.
Really?
I'll share a quick story with you.
Tell me.
We had a student that got in trouble, and I had to give him a consequence. And so I didn't even realize it, but it just so happened that same day they had a game. Okay? I'll have you know, their parent was more upset about them missing the game than missing school. Did you hear me? They were more upset about their child missing a football game than getting their education. So what I'm saying is, until our value systems change, we can talk equity all we want. The equity is there. Yeah. No child in America doesn't have access to some form of education to learn how to read, write, and comprehend. No child. And that's why I'm so big on AI, because I feel like AI will be in a lot of ways, if we use it correctly, a great equalizer in really ramping up the equity issue as a as it relates to access to K-12 education, right? And even college education. But, because I'm in the K-12 space, that's what I'm focused on. And truthfully, if you don't get that foundation right there, it don't matter. You're not going to college anyway, right?
Yeah.
So that foundational piece is key. And again, like I said, I just don't see the value. And when I think about the sacrifices my own mother made, we had the food stamps. We were on government assistance. We lived in the projects. I don't want to hear that. I don't want to hear that.
Yeah.
That is not an excuse. And I'm not saying it's not an issue. It's 100% an issue.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
Like I remember eating the block cheese and the puff wheats, and I get all that. I'm 100% on board, and I understand that is a real issue, right? But all we're doing is perpetuating that if we don't say to our children, this is the way out of this. Get a good quality education. Do what you need to do in school. Pull your pants up. Quit hiding in the bathroom.
Yeah.
Get serious about your homework. If we don't do that, then we're lost already as a people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
I guess you can see I'm a little passionate about this.
just a little bit, just a tiny
little
bit,
bit,
right?
just a little
Right,
bit.
guys? Man, I mean, how I'm just blown away because it's like you're there to educate the students.
Sure.
And so the parents, like, what I'm thinking about is, okay, where are the parents getting that though? Where did they get their value system? Because did that come from their parents? Did that come just from them? And once you get to that course, like, what actually does it take to require? Does it require to see your kid not make it, out of high school?
Yeah.
And then to be like, okay, now I'm awake. Now I got to get serious about it. Like, what's it going to take for the parents to change that value system? Because I agree 100% what you were just saying, but it's like, will they change though eventually? Like, what is it going to take?
I don't know. It's the thing that, because I will tell you, and like I said, I've been doing this for 30 years, and what has concerned me is like there's pockets of success, right? And there's not that sustainability of success. And what I mean by that is, you can go into any school in America. I don't care where it's at. It could be in the hood. It could be in a rural community. It could be in a suburban community. It doesn't matter. You're going to find pockets of excellence. But how do we mainstream that? How do we ensure that every student, all, capital ALL, all students are successful, right? And so for me, it is a value piece, and it does start with the parents because education begins at home. People say students start school in kindergarten. Wrong. Right out of the womb, the minute they're born, for 5 years, they're in school before they even hit our school. They've already gotten 5 years of someone else's beliefs, someone else's value system, right?
Yeah.
And if their behavior is not appropriate, learn behavior, right?
Right.
And so for me, it's like making sure that our parents understand how critical it is to read to their students when they're young, before they even hit school. Make sure their student. Why is a student learning their ABCs at kindergarten? They can learn their ABCs at 3.
Yeah.
They're speaking full sentences. So you can't tell me they can't learn A, B, C, D, E, F, G, right?
It's possible.
Literally, I can't tell you how many, because I've been a principal at every level, elementary, middle, and high school. I can't tell you how many kids from our black and brown communities have come into our schools and have never seen a crayon, have never held a pencil at 5 years of age.
Man.
And then we had, so what that does is that creates a gap already.
Yeah.
Right?
The catch up.
You're
starts
already
right there.
playing catch up.
Yeah, you're already playing.
You're already playing catch up. In a 100-yard race, you're already 10 yards behind.
That's just
right?
like that. Yeah.
And so for me, it starts with this early childhood education and making sure that our parents know how critical it is, to really pour into their kids as much as possible and to start creating those value systems early with our students, right?